And I figure I'll show you the gapping. Basically the smallest wire on here is 0.635. The next one up is 7.62. So this bigger one should not fit in there, and the smaller one should slide in. So you can see that it's going through. Moving up to the next size bigger. Can't get it in there. So that gap's good. So like I said, check the gap on all plugs. Like I said earlier, it's probably really not that necessary, but it's always good to double check. You never know what's going to come out of the box. Alright, so we're ready to start putting the plugs in. I don't know if you're really going to be able to see this, but I'm going to talk through it and hopefully you can see something. Tried setting the camera up best I can, but you know how that goes. So basically what I'm going to do, just going to lower this in there as gently as I can, which usually results in just kind of dropping it in there. And so I get the extension in there. You know, this is really, you're just kind of doing this by braille. So like with any overhead cam engine, the first thing I want to do is I'll just spin it counterclockwise like I'm loosening it, and I try to hold the extension as close to center as I possibly can, just so those threads will line up. So then when I feel like I got it where it needs to be, I'll start spinning it back clockwise, tightening it. And basically, you can kind of use one of your fingers to just kind of keep the gap between the opening for the plug and the extension. And like I said earlier, these plugs have a lot of thread on them, so it's going to take quite a bit of spinning usually. But I like to do it by hand just to feel whether it's threading incorrectly or not before I go putting a ratchet on there. You know, once again, this is something you want to be really careful with because there's a lot of potential to cause damage to the cylinder head if you do it wrong. Alright, so that feels pretty snugged up. Ready to start tightening it with the ratchet. Once again, you're just kind of doing this by feel. Or at least that's how I do it anyways. And I'm sure there's some kind of torque spec for this, but I don't know, I've never really been into torquing spark plugs, and then doing it on this bike is probably next to impossible anyway, so just trying to snug it up. Alright, that one's good. So basically, obviously, you got to repeat that process with the other 3 cylinders and get ready to throw those coils back on there. And hopefully you could kind of see what I was doing, but like I said, who knows? I guess I'll see when I get done making this video. Alright, I want to just kind of give you a visual of what I was talking about when I was saying to use your finger to space that extension out. Like basically, you know, use your left hand to kind of stick your finger between that extension and the valve cover, and then using your other hand to twist it to finger tighten it. But it's just, what you're just trying to do is keep this centered. So like I said, just kind of sticking your finger on there sometimes helps keep this thing centered, so you got a better chance of getting the threads to screw in correctly. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is put some dielectric grease onto these coils. Nothing fancy here, just put a blob inside of there. And now we're ready to throw those in. Alright, so ready to throw the coils in. Hopefully you can see this. Basically just drop in there. Once again, you want to kind of center them. Go down nice and slow. And you're actually gonna feel it kind of snap on there. And then what I like to do, just for a little extra leverage or push on it, I'll take an extension and just push down on it, and you hear it, I don't know, maybe you heard it snap, that final snap. So that one's on there. Alright, so just do that to the rest of them and be ready to snap the harness back on there. Alright, so while I got this stuff apart, I figured I'd clean up the ram air tubing here. So basically what I did, I took the glass cleaner. This one's already done, you can see. So what I'm going to do with this one, spray the glass cleaner on there, wipe it off with a paper towel, and then get it all dried up, and then come back. Got the Marvel air tool oil, smeared some of that on there, dress it up really nice, looks shiny. So yeah, it's just a lot easier to do it while it's off the bike. Alright, got that little plate reinstalled, cleaned it up a little bit. To take these paper towels out of the throttle bodies and get to putting that air box back on. It's basically just reinstall it the reverse order that it came off. A couple of little hoses and all that, double check everything. Make sure you didn't miss nothing. Alright, got the air box back on there. This is going to get kind of involved with these ram air tubes, and the sequence you put it back together is kind of important. You know, you want to just kind of get the air box on there first, and then get the tubes on each side kind of fit in there. You're going to have to fiddle around back and forth with getting this seated and then getting the tubes in and connecting them to the front half of the air ducting, and just getting all the tubes hooked up. Yeah, got that all back together. One more thing, show you these two little breather lines. I like to just put a piece of tape over these little spring clips because they like to fall all the way down to the bottom of the bike, which gets irritating. So I just tape them on there. So yeah, just got to grab the tank and throw it back on there. Alright, putting the tank back on. Got my little zip tie canister propping the tank up. Basically, you're just going to lay the tank on there flat without that zip tie container in there and get this bolt started. You don't want to tighten it up, you want to just get it threaded. See, we got threads coming through, but it's still loose. And you're going to lift the tank up, prop it up with something. You got to connect the vent tubes. And that fuel line back on. Make sure you got the clamp on there. And I don't think I mentioned this in taking it off, but there is a petcock valve on here that's going to cut off the fuel flow. Let's see if I can get the camera on there. So right now I got it set to off. Don't want to forget this. So got it back on. So now I got fuel's going to make it to the fuel pump. So basically all I got to do now is let the tank down and finish up tightening the bolts. I like to keep that rear bolt loose and get the front ones going. Kind of get the front cinched down. Then I'll snug up the back and kind of keep going back and forth until it's all nice and tightened up evenly. Almost forgot. You've got that green connector too, don't forget that. That's for your low fuel light. So make sure you plug that in. Alright, let's get this beast fired up.